Hello, everyone. Welcome to First Friday. I see a few of you are here. If you can hear me, just a little shout out, say yes. That would make me really happy. Um, and it's not quite 1 o'clock. We still have like 30 seconds. And let's see. Let me check here. Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you. Thank you, Linda. I really appreciate that. Hi, everybody. Welcome to First Friday, a week late because last week was a holiday and I just figured no one was going to come and I didn't want to be here all by myself. So there's no host today. It's just me. So give me a little patience. I can't really see your questions when I'm demoing. So I will occasionally look over and see if there's questions. Today we're going to work with the jewel collection. So I'm hoping that even if you've never seen the jewel collection, this will be great. And if you have seen the jewel collection, maybe you'll learn something new and different. So I sure hope so. I think they're really fun. We're going to start with, I'm just going to show you a little bit about the templates. We're going to talk about the template a little bit. We're going to start with the link of diamonds. This is what the templates look like. They have two designs per template, except for the larger ones, they only have one. All of the jewel collections work the same way. They have lines here and here, and they work on a pin. So what you want to make sure is that you're following the right line. So you take the lines, the diagonal lines, not the straight line, the diagonal lines as they come off of the side that you're using. So this is the 7.5-inch size. I actually wrote on the templates the sizes with a Sharpie because it's just easier for me to read. So this diagonal line here, this diagonal line here goes to the 7.5. The 6.5-inch side is on the other side of the template, and these lines here are going to go to the 6.5, and that's where you put the pin in. So the pin goes in, you rotate, you stitch half of the design, you rotate the template, you stitch the other half of the design, and you go on your way. On this particular template and the pearls, you can travel on the bottom and the top. On the bottom, you can tell this is straight, so you're not going to get a circle, but I'm going to show you what you're going to get. On the top, it's curved, so as you're rotating, you get a circle with diamonds on the inside. So that's how the diamonds work. Next, we're going to use the pearls, and as you can tell, it looks just like the diamonds, only there's a pearl. It's a round shape. It's a circle. These are 1 inch, and so that means from the top to the bottom, it measures 1 inch. The number out here, 8.5, designates how large the design is from one side to the other. It's 8.5 inches. Again, you have the diagonal lines. We're going to line these up on our crosshairs that we've marked our reference lines on our fabric. Works the same way. It rotates. You stitch half, rotate, stitch the other half, or stitch the two halves and then rotate. Last, we have this strand of pearls. Now, as I told you on the larger one, you only have one cutout on the template because it's so big, the 10.5 and the 11.5-inch size. Again, you have these diagonal lines, and that's what we're going to line up on our reference line. You stitch the pearls from the top. You can only have an outside circle on the hearts. You can't have inside and outside, but you stitch half the heart and then go back up, rotate, and then stitch the other half of the heart. So it's just a little bit different than the way you can use the diamonds and the pearls. So I'm going to switch cameras. Oh no, just real quick before we switch cameras, let me show you my fabric here. Today we're using 24 reference lines, which that's what that looks like. So we started with our 6-point crosshair square and we did it 4 different times, and that gives us 24 reference lines. So this design is done with 24 with the 6-point crosshair, but you can use any of the crosshairs. I just like the way this works out with the 24. So, and I think we might be getting a little bit of feedback, so I have to do something here to get rid of something that I got going on so we don't get feedback. All right, let's see. And so far, no questions, so I'm just going to keep going. Let me switch the camera. That's the important part. You want to be able to see what I'm doing. Take a little sip of water, and off we go. We are going to start with the 4.5 diamond. And as you can see, I have a little pin more in the middle of my fabric here. It's on top of the pin. That way, when I take it to a table to mark it, when I carry it back to my machine and I lift this up, the pin doesn't fall out. It's going to stay in there. So that's why I use the pin more. You can also use a piece of tape, an eraser, any silicone thing, so that the pin stays there. And hopefully you can see that the pin's there, but it is. So I'm going to take my template. I want to start with the 4.5-inch design. And if I follow, that's the pin that's really close up here. It's always the one that's farthest away. So there's a pin here, and that goes to this other side, which is 9.5 inches. And then this is the 4.5 pin. So I'm going to stick that one on top, right like that. If you try and use the 9.5 pin, you're not going to get a good design. It's not going to turn properly, and you're not going to get a diamond. So that's why we use the correct pin. I had it on there the first time perfectly, and now I can't get it. Sometimes it helps me if I have a piece of tape on my fabric. There, I got it. Okay, so we're going to do this starting on the inside. So that means closest to where the pin is instead of on the outside. And I'm going to show you a couple tricks to kind of make it look a little round, but it's not really going to end up round. We are going to go every other line. So here I'm lining this line up on my reference lines. And that's this line right here. And this line up at the top. And if I line that up, it should be right there. And we are going to pull our thread at the bottom and not at the top. And I'm going to take a couple of stitches, and then I'm going to stitch up to the top on the left-hand side. And there's half my diamond. I'm going to rotate my template. Things should line up here. I'm going to stitch back down. And there's my first diamond. Now, when I go around, I only stitch to the next reference line, and then I stop. And then I rotate my template and line it up. So I'm lining up this next line. We're skipping a line. That's the line we stopped at. We're going to the next line, and then we can just go like this and go up. Rotate the template, make sure it's lined up, and come back down. And then without stopping, I go to that next reference line. Then I rotate the template and stitch out this half. If I had gone the other direction, I would do the same thing. Rotate the template. I have the reference line up here. I have the reference line down here. I wasn't 100% sure that the diamond would work with the circle on the inside, but it kind of does. It's not a perfectly round circle, but you know how you can make curved designs out of straight piecing? It sort of works like that. Stitch to here, set up my template. So I'm just going to keep going all the way around until I trying to get these guys out of my way. I don't want to stitch on them till I get done. And in between each round, I'll check for questions. Okay. Oops. I didn't get that marked right. And now I'm stitching over my threads. I don't want to do that. Well, there may be some snipping of this involved. Let's see if we can get this out of here. There we go. I went up and I didn't have my template in the right place. So move to the next reference line and then move your template and line it up to where you want it to be, where you want the diamond to go. And if you've noticed, I haven't changed the orientation of the fabric yet. See if we can get these guys out of here. Nope, he's wrapped around the needle. Oh. All right, that. We're going to skip that one, go to that one. I can still use these reference lines. And we're back to where we started, but I want to close this circle off, right? So I'm going to stitch to the center, move the template, stitch to where I started, take a couple of back stitches and cut my threads. And we are done with the first round. I'm going to trim these beginning threads. There we go. And that's what it looks like in the beginning. And I'm just going to check if anybody has any questions. Okay, I don't see any questions. So I'm going to go on. This next part is my favorite. I love this. I really hope that you find this fun. We're going to the 7.5-inch design and we're going to use the pearls. So again, I need to watch. I need to go from up here all the way down to this pinhole. If I use this pinhole with these diamonds, it is not going to work. So just make sure it's the angled lines. It's not the straight line. Follow the angled line to the hole, and that's the hole you're going to use. Okay. Now on this one, it doesn't matter where you start because we're creating a round design. Okay, doesn't matter. You can start anywhere you want. I'm putting the line on my reference line, the line of the template on my reference line. I'm going to start at the inside. You can start at the inside or the outside on this design. Doesn't matter because we're going to switch back and forth. Okay, so take a couple of stitches in place. Gonna put these guys underneath my template. And I just knocked it right off the pin. That was very smart. Get these guys out of my way. All right, let's go. We're going to do half of a purl, move the template, do the other half of the purl, continue, just go to the center. That's just a habit I get into, is I go to the next reference line, whether I'm doing every line or every other line. Then I rotate my template and I do half of my purl. I do the other half, and this is where it gets fun. I go all the way down here, and then I come back up. So I am going to alternate between an inside and an outside circle. So the inside circle to me is where the jewels are on the outside of the circle from center, and inside is where they're on the inside from center. So this is really fun. And then I'm skipping that one. So I need to go this way, do half my purl, do the other half, go back down, and now I'm traveling on the bottom again. Do the other half of my purl, come back up, and travel on the outside. Doesn't that look fun? I love this. Oops. I'm getting confused. There we go. Half of the purl, other half of the purl, and go back down. So for every purl, you're making the second half of it is double stitched. And then this goes on the top. Move that. This is going to go on the bottom. And my machine is jamming, of course. Isn't that nice? Let's see what we got going on here. I can do this all day with no problems. And then I get online and it causes problems. It seems to be fine. Let's see. That caused a thread's nest. I can hear my machine whenever it coughs. I just go, oh no, don't cough. Okay. I'm just going to do a little test sew over here. Let's try this. The tension may have been, nope, the tension was fine. Okay. Sorry about that commercial there. Let's see. Was I here? Yeah, because I started up there. All right, so I'm going to pull my thread a little to, I don't want to go into that nest too much where I was. Oh, shoot. You know what? I shouldn't have done that without this being in there. Oh, well. Open up that. Shut it. Put the pin back on. There we go. And now let's see. This, I need to go back up to the top. Let's see what's going to happen. Skip this one, go to the next one. Do this one twice. Skip that next reference line. Oh, wait, I'm on the reference line I need to be on. I'm going to calm down in a minute. There we go. Skip that one. Oops. We skipped that one. Now we got to do this one. When you do this design, you kind of need to pay attention a little bit because it's easy to get messed up. But it came out perfect because we started at the bottom and we're going to end up at the top, which is what we want. And we're going to go to where this meets right here. And take a couple of back stitches and cut our threads. And this, let's take these, snip that, snip the hiccup stitches. There we go. So that came out perfect in the end. I really love this switching and going back and forth. I haven't tried it with the diamonds, but I love how it looks with the pearls. You can't do it with the hearts. Okay. I don't see any questions. I'm just checking for questions. Yeah, I love these templates too. All right. Yeah, thanks, Linda. I never saw them done this way until I started doing them, and I just think it's a really different design and a fun way to do that. And next up, we're going to bring out the diamonds again. And you know how we always say you don't have to use the whole template, you can use part of it. That's what we're going to do. We're going to use the whole template and we're going to use part of it. So we're going to start, again, it doesn't matter where you start. This is the 8.5-inch design. So, you know, follow along till you get to the right pinhole. Get the pin on there. Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to start here. Well, maybe I'll start here. I'll start where there's an opening between the two pearls. Okay, and I'm going to make a diamond. And on this one, we are going to have an outside circle. So remember the first diamond, we had an inside circle. On this one, we're going to have an outside circle. And then you want to take a couple of stitches to anchor it. Okay, we're going to go down. Oh, my tension is not happy. Okay, now we're going to go to the center line on the template. This one, we're going to do every reference line. So the last two we did 12. This time we're going to do 24. We're going to stop on the reference line. And we're going to do the one here, but we don't want to go farther than what we've already stitched. So we're just going to stitch down. It's like we're putting a little hat on the pearl. Oops, I just stitched over the beginning threads. And we're going to do that 3 times. We're going to go down and come back up. These are all going to be double stitched. Down, come back up. That one I went a little too far. Down, come back up. Down, come back up. Now on this reference line, because there's an opening between these pearls here, I can make a complete diamond. Go to the next reference line, and now I'm back to making half diamonds. And we're just going to go around. And I am going to adjust my tension until I get it right. But I don't want to slow you guys down, because this is just a little practice piece. I'm using 40 weight thread in my needle. It's an embroidery thread. I like to make things with embroidery threads a lot because I think I just have a lot of colors of them, and so I can do more things. 1, 2, 3, and then now here I can make a full diamond. I have a lot of different colors of embroidery threads, so I can get some nice colors in my quilting if I use embroidery threads. I have more colors of that than I have anything else. So the other thing I want you to notice is I'm stitching on the left side first, right? And it's not so much here, but I'm going to show you what can happen if you stitch on the right side first. My threads are crossing each other, so there's always going to be a closure there. If I were to come here and stitch this way and make a complete one, on the next complete diamond, I'll show you what can happen, because it doesn't work too well on this because we're double stitching. But you want to think about making sure that your stitches cross each other and they don't meet. Because if they just meet and then you go off over here, you run the risk of your stitches not crossing, and then you'll get a gap and that'll show up. So. Okay, my machine doesn't like that setting. I'm going real slow because my machine is not happy with me. Okay, if I go down here, come up here, and I don't get all the way to the top, and then I move along, see there's a gap there? I'll show it to you when I finish, or when I get out of this area. And you just run that risk of getting a gap. So by going on the left first and then the right, you would cross those stitches. I don't know. I'll hold that up closer to the camera later so you can see what I'm talking about. I went a tad too far. Again, I'm stitching every line. Okay, so on this one, we start on the right, and up here now, our stitches have to cross each other, so they have to enclose, and you don't ever run the risk of there being a gap. So even if I wasn't perfect, I'm still going to get an enclosed diamond. I'm stitching at a snail's pace, but that's usually what I stitch at anyway, so. Now my tension looks really good. We're getting close to the end here. The thing I like about this entire design is it uses all the templates, and you get a variety of the inside circle and the outside circle. And there we're going to close that off. And I'm going to put this on here so I don't lose the pin while I show you this up close. So here it is. This is right here is the diamond, oops, that didn't meet. Right there. Is that it? No, it's this one where it doesn't meet. So that's why you want to travel and stitch. If you're traveling to the left, you want to stitch the left side first. And if you're traveling to the right, you want to stitch the right side first. So let's see. What tension did you actually, Michelle, right now, my tension is set at 1.25, my top tension. So I mentioned that I had 40 weight thread in my needle and I have a 50 weight thread in my bobbin. And sometimes that causes tension issues. If I'd use the same thread in my bobbin that I did in my top needle, then everything would be fine and I wouldn't have to adjust my tension. But I'm using different weights in the top and the bobbin. And I do that, my little secret is that I use water soluble thread in my bobbin, and I have serged the edges of my fabric so I can play with thread and then I can wash it and the bobbin thread dissolves in the washing machine and then the top threads just come right off and then I can reuse the fabric. I like to play on paper, but you can only go so far on paper. So sometimes I like to play on fabric and I use it that way and then I can keep doing it and I'm not just going through fabric of things that I'm not going to use or anything like that. So this is our design so far. And except for the tension issues over here, it's looking pretty good. The little diamonds, like I said, they kind of look like little, oh, this one oh no, yeah, I'm good. They kind of look like little hats. So the last piece of this design, we're going to use the hearts. Now the hearts, you can only go a ring on the outside. You can't do a ring on the inside with the hearts. So, and this, remember this template only has the one pinhole. So we're going to put the pin on there. And you have to pull on the outside. Again, it doesn't matter where we pull because we're going to do 24 hearts. Feels like there's something in my bobbin. And I just cleaned it before class, so. Okay. Go around. Stop. Go back up to the top. Rotate the template. Go down. Make your little heart. And go back up to the top. Because we started on the right, this time we're going to travel to the right. We're going to stop on this next line, but if we line it up, I'm using the reference line down here to line up on my fabric. And I didn't get that perfect, but that's okay. Once I get rid of the lines, you're never going to notice. And I lined that up. Go around, come back up. My eyes are not lined up properly. My fabric is a little moist right there. Like I said, I'm a little nervous about going too fast, but this is not a super long demo, so ooh, that one's way off. But it's never going to show. No one's ever going to know. When I say it's off, what I'm talking about is I'm putting this reference line on my line, but somehow when I hit there and come back down, oh, there it is. If you see down at the bottom, it's stitching a stitch to the side of the line. And it's okay. It just seems to be working out all right. And I tend to push my fabric sometimes into the template, and I shouldn't do that. So let's see if we can. I like to line up the template while I'm going this way because then I don't have to stop. Oh, it's perfect when I do it that way. Maybe the stopping, I push it too hard. Let's try that again. Push that there. Move it that way. Move that there. Well, that's an ugly heart. If you used 32 crosshairs, the hearts are going to interlock with each other. And on the 10.5 and the 11.5, I found if you do 24 with your 16 crosshair squares, or with your 6-point crosshair square, that's how you can get the hearts so close together and not have them interlock with each other. The Linka Hearts looks really cute on baby quilts, I think. And if you just did a big circle of hearts and empty in the middle, you could embroider little baby motifs in the middle. That would be really cute. The hearts take a little longer because they all have to be double stitched. So let's review. Half the heart, go back up to the top. Rotate the template. I'm just going to turn this so you can see. Rotate the template until the reference line of the heart you're using is on the reference line that you made on your quilt. And then make the other half of your heart. Now, because this is designed for an 8-point crosshair, that's where this line would come in. That would take you to the middle of the next one in an 8-point rotation, which would be 32 in this case. So you have to bring your template back to the right or back towards the heart that you just made and put this reference line on the template on top of the next one on your fabric. Stitch half the heart, go back up to the top, rotate the template. Same thing, if you were to just stitch to this reference line, right? And then do half your heart. And I didn't make it all the way to the reference line, so that's okay. If you do half your heart, come up and come down here. Oops. Both of your stitches may not meet up at the top, which is okay because it's double stitched, but again, not the look that I like. So I just think it's smoother if you can go this way and not stop. Rotate the template, line it up, come back down. I think we're down to 2 more hearts. And this way. And before I look to see if there's questions, I'm going to turn my iron on real quick so that I can iron off the reference lines and you can see what this design looks like without all that noise going on. So So if you have any questions, this is the time to type them out. And if there's something else you want to see me do with these templates, by all means, just ask. And I am going to, let's see. I'm not seeing any questions. Okay, I am going to come up here and go here. I'm going to give you links to So Steady, so you can, if you want to check these templates out. Give me a sec, it's coming up. I guess that's not going to work. There it goes. I can only double click so many times. So this first link is for the diamonds. And then the second link is for the pearls. And then the last link is going to be for the hearts. So I'm using the jewel collection. It's the strand of pearls, the link of diamonds, and the strand of hearts. I got one more link for you. The last one is the hearts. There we go. And poof, there. Let's see. I think they all went through. It might take a minute. There we go. Okay. I'm glad you like the designs. All right, let me get the lines out of this so you guys can see what it all looks like. Maybe I should take the pin out too. That my iron wouldn't like it if I ironed over a pin, I don't think. So let me move the camera back up to the board. There we go. I always like the way they come to life when you get rid of the reference lines. And I will admit this is my favorite. The pearls where you go in and out and in and out on the outside and the inside, on the outside and the inside. I really like that. So there she is in her glory. Boy, that tension was really bad right there. Shh, don't tell anybody. All right, that is our design. All right. Does anybody want to see anything else with these templates before I say goodbye and have a super great weekend? Thank you, everybody. I think it looks really good too. Isn't it fun how these templates just can make everything come to life? So that is all I have. You're welcome, everybody. Have a great weekend. And I will see you in August. Next August will be the first Friday of the month because there's not a holiday the first Friday of the month. So take care, everybody. Have a great weekend, like I said, and we will see you next month. And again, reach out if you have any questions. You can find my email address on Sew Steady's website under educators. And you can also reach out to me through Facebook Messenger. So, all right, everybody, bye. It's been fun. Thank you.